Welcome back to the channel. Little update in regards of my Zoro deck. So this is another deck profile. I currently to this week, so today of recording or tonight of recording, it's Friday. I have done back-to-back uh, locals. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm going to another local tomorrow. So I'm really grinding out locals and just trying to refine and experience more gameplay. Um, because the meta is definitely changing in my area. So a lot of the players, I believe, started shifting towards Kaido. And funny enough, the last video that I posted was Kaido's getting tough, and it is. Wiping the board, heavy hitters, being a Zoro player with low cost characters. So the kings, the 6-drop king, 7-drop king, the who's who, a lot of different cards that can just wipe my board, and uh, they're getting defensive early, which is a struggle mid game for Zoro players. Uh, so we're gonna look at my updated deck playlist. Just before I do, or actually, we'll pull it up anyways. Um, so the updated deck list. Um, bring up the Zoro deck. There we go. Uh, Small little refinements. Brought back more of the Sanjis. I had like a 2-2 lineup, and then I replaced Brook with Usopp, and I'll explain it in a second. But the uh, the locals I went, so for Tuesday, end up being around like 20 something people. Um, it was 4 rounds. I was X1. What did I lose to? Sadly, I can't recall. These past couple days have been such a blur, so to remember every single match I did, it's been a blur. Um, oh, I lost to Kid, and then like Kid obviously is Zoro's worst match. Like if you don't have Otama, let's bring it up. Otama Jet Pistol. So Otama Jet Pistol and Diablo Jambe and uh, the 6-drop or 5-drop unblockable Luffy. Or even sometimes if you, I play a one-off of Shanks now. I brought Shanks back to the deck. I think I removed him at one point. Surprisingly enough, I've been playing him more. So just because some of the games are getting a little bit more grindier and longer. So just to swing heavy and still have a character on board to swing heavy every time in the mid to late game, it's good to have. So X1, um, they didn't have any prizings for that store that I went to. It was the first time going to that store for a local. Good turnout. Seeing a lot of familiar faces from other locals that I do. Wednesday, I usually go to a specific store every Wednesday. It's always getting busier and busier at that location. The cap is supposed to be 32 people, but they still allow up to like 40 something. So not everyone gets participation packs. I'm lucky enough to now have all the participation cards that are needed, or not needed, but uh, out of the 5 cards, I'll pull it up on the video. Actually, um, let's see. Participation cards for this set is this Luffy, which I've had in the deck, and I actually end up removing him. He's a 2-clay blocker, +2 Dawn. He gets 2,000 more, plus the included Dawn, so plus 4,000 on top of the 3,000. So 7K with the Zoro 8K. So strong, but no rush. So that's something to keep in mind. But 2K blockers counter is great. This is the other promo. So that for the red cards, for green, it's the Yamato. This one right here. Um, Not too familiar with what it does. The blue, I have way too many Trafalgar Laurels. Where did he go? This law. And then, but that law actually is pretty interesting. It's a 6 drop though, so it's late game. On play, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, add one of your opponent's life cards to their hand. So if they're at their last life, it's kind of like a Kaido effect, but they get to keep the card. So it's risky, but you can place this card and try to swing for game if you're struggling to get rid of that last life. But it's not. It's very situational. And then the Kaido, the 8 drop dragon version of Kaido. I finally got this card yesterday, like the normal version. I have the winter version. That's the winter card I got from the local deck playlist that I've made a couple weeks ago. And then those are the promo cards. So I have all of them now, which I'm happy about. Uh, Now is the goal is to have a four of a kind of all of them. But anyways, um, the Wednesday didn't do too well. I think I brought a friend, and I basically told him if we both have 2 losses, we'll just head out and grab something to eat, which happened. So I think I only stuck around for 3 rounds. So I lost 2 rounds and I dropped out. And then yesterday, went to another local at a different store, and I didn't know uh, it was a prizing for a booster box. So it was a box tournament. Um, it was funny enough because I lost my first match, and my first loss was to Kaido. Kaido is getting tough, and I want to experience more, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do to get consistent wins with Kaido. What to tech out, what I need, because my deck currently right now is great against. It's like catered towards kid, especially with so for the 8 drop kid, I can do like numerous things. So a card that I teched in is Gordon. 1 drop, activate main. You bottom deck this card. Um, my lights just turned dim. Let me see. Yeah, that was weird. Anyways, sorry about that. Um, Yeah, so Gordon, he's a card that you need to play or want to play because he has no counter. So minus 3,000 and on any of the characters. Surprisingly enough, I use this card a lot and it helped me clear the board. So not even just on the 8 drop kid. So with you can play this card and Jet Pistol. Uh, you can actually combo with Otama, Gordon, um, and then Nico Robin, even so, like instantly KO. Uh, so like if you already established Robin and you've already gotten rid of let's say Okiku, because Okiku is basically the green version of Nico Robin, but kind of a little bit more scary because you can rest whatever characters and then get rid of them. So if Okiku's there first, no point of putting down Robin. So most likely you're probably jet pistoling Okiku. And then once Okiku's gone, then you can place down the Robin and then just try to maintain her. And if you have her, so 8 drop kid minus 2 to bring it down to 6, and a minus 3 to bring it down to 3. So instant KO with Nico Robin. There's also a chance of using round table. The unfortunate thing about this card is that you can't search it with Robin. I mean with Nami. So yeah, I'll go. I guess I'm gonna talk about what cards I put in and why I put it in, and what I've been using in each match. So, we'll start from like everyone already knows what Zoro does. Leader ability, Dawn on leader. During my turn, all characters get gain 1,000 power. Um, so powerful leader, very aggressive, helps to add those numbers to swing for like the magic number, 7K, 9K, the +2 on top of whatever you're attacking. It kind of just helps. Um, I replaced Brook, the two drop Brook from the starter deck for the rare version of the OP-01 Romance Dawn Usopp here. Also a 2K counter, which is great. Uh, this card is very situational when I actually play it, and surprisingly enough, I do play it. Um, I've used it against, especially this is mainly for against blue, so like Dofi decks, Don Flamingo. Basically, if I'm setting up attacks and I can kind of utilize 3 Dawn. I put I rest 2 Dawn to play Usopp. I attach a Dawn to him, or even if I have this Nami on board to slap a Dawn on him, I would only place him down when I see active Dawn left on my opponent after he's done his turn. So during my turn, and I see active Dawn, this is the only card in the deck that I can actually draw and get a bigger hand. So I can only do this once. Yeah, once per turn. After your opponent activates an event, draw 1 card. So if I can flush out a uh, if I'm facing Kaido, Thunder Bagua, uh, Blast Breath, the green deck. What do you call them? I don't remember all the card names. We'll switch back. It's a green. What event card? Paradise Waterfall and Punk Gibson. Like any of these event cards, and especially against Dofi, because Dofi or Croc plays a lot of event cards. Overheat, um, Desert Spada, uh, Love Love Beam, or Mellow Mellow. These, I'm starting to see people put Sables as well as Crescent Cutlass. I'm not sure of the name of this. Starting to see these pop up more. A lot of blue players are used to setting Dawn aside to protect themselves and also to organize or draw. So, in regards of uh, this Usopp, you can gain cards. So, but it's not an essential card. But if I have 2 Usopps in hand, um, or a couple more 2K counters, or more than enough cards I have, but I know I'm going to be because the thing is about the Zoro is that your hand will equate. You'll either equate to what you already had, or you'll have less cards in hand by the end of your turn. There's no drawing into it. Besides this other Sanji I'll talk about in a minute. Um, so this Usopp's pretty interesting. I've been able to draw into cards that I need, just because I know like I is 100% sure I know that the my opponent will use an event, or I'll flush it out. I'm like kind of force them to use it, just because they're getting low on life. So it's funny because after the first time I'm allowed to draw from an opponent using an event card, I use Usopp, draw it, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize like that you can get a card from that." So from there, they start catering towards getting rid of Usopp. So protects my other characters, protects my life. It's just in a sense started treating us like another blocker, and the fact that you can place it on turn and use the ability that turn, it's like kind of like an activate main, but you have to designate a Dawn for us. So that's something you have to kind of consider. Other than that, it's a 2K counter. It's great to protect your characters and then potentially save that last swing against your life. But yeah, Usopp's been doing pretty interesting things for me. So yeah. And plus, because it has the extra Dawn for the ability, he can also swing for 5K with the Zoro effect. So he can be also a pretty cheap attacker as well, so that's good for Usopp. Otama, uh, everyone knows what Otama does now. It's 1 drop, 0K. negative 2,000 on a character. You're just trying to get rid of characters that are gonna ruin your day. So 8 drop kid, Okiku, uh, blockers like heavier blockers like King from the Kaido deck. Uh, even in the blue deck here, there's a lot of different blockers. Kuma, Boa Hancock. Just just bringing the power from down, so either Nico Robin can get rid of it, or Jet Pistol or whatever you need to do to get rid of those pesky characters. 2K counter as well. Usually, I don't use Otama for counter. I would technically hold off on using it unless I have to or I need to. There's 4 in the deck, so the chances of drawing into it is pretty high. Having 2 in your hand, that's when I would potentially drop or use one for counter. Um, yeah, what I've been doing a lot lately. So on the Thursday local, the box tournament, I was X1. There was like closer to, I actually don't remember the number. I think it's closer to 40 or over 40 people. Um, After the first round, a lot of people did drop out because there was, I think, a miscommunication that there wasn't any pricing, but kind of benefited everyone else that stuck around. Um, the What I've been doing is protecting my characters heavily early on. If I can keep the pressure so early that like I it's hard to recreate or talk about it, but my third matchup was against nope, my fourth matchup was against a kid deck that was XO. They were XO, so they were down paired to me, so uh, which sucked for him. But uh, I was so aggressive and so defensive to my characters that the game finished before he even got 10 dawns. So before he wasn't even able to put an 8 drop kid, the game was over. Like I put in so much pressure, it's just defending my characters. And uh, because I'm defending my characters and I'm not taking life, I'm wasting cards in hand. This Sanji has actually been helping. Yes, I'm taking a life, but taking a life, adding 2 Rested Dawn, swinging for 7 plus to 1 from Zoro AK early on, you're taking life quickly and uh, getting rid of characters that have that might come across as an issue. So against the kid deck, um, Ezo's like even though he's 3K and he's not swinging at life, there goes my camera. Um, Even though he's Ezo's 3K, let's bring up Ezo here. Um, Ezo. I don't know how this is kind of organized. Ezo should be up here. Yeah. So Ezo's 3 drop 3K. He's annoying because he rests any 4 character or less on play. Um, but he's on board. And then if I'm swinging with a Nami, um, Sunny, even like Sanji or Usopp, like he can equate and attack my characters. So getting rid of the characters quickly because they can only put one character, like 1 or 2 characters down at a time, and then can't swing on it. So after they do swing and I do protect my characters, I get rid of them, and I'm also hitting life just because I have maybe 3 attackers every turn. I've been like if you can protect your attackers super early on. It came to a point where most of the games that I played by mid game, I was so ahead in life, and they were so close to being out of life. My hand was empty. I had no card hand. I was top decking everything, but everything that was top decking was useful. That can really push towards winning the game, which really helped. So the Sanji early on, if you're defending your character is not giving up your life um, from attacks, then yeah, take a life, get an extra card. Either it'll be a 2K counter, it would be a blocker, it would be an attacker. It's every card in this deck is useful in regards of gameplay. So yeah, that's so Usopp and Sanji is the only cards that would give you more cards in hand. Where technically speaking, the Nami, everyone knows the Nami, the one drop 2K. Look at the top 5 cards, grab a straw hat card. Just remember that the errata, a lot of people still have not caught up on all the erratas. So please do, especially if you're going into like a like the treasure cup or something major. Uh, ruling, excuse me, ruling is important. Uh, it can change the whole way you can like the whole game, whole style of gameplay you do just because of one little change of the rule. Um, understand what, like, for example, what double attack does. Double attack, if you didn't know, a lot of people surprised didn't know, and it was hard to find the ruling, but double attacking, if you swing at life with a character that has double attack and it's not blocked or it's not countered and it goes through, your opponent has to take 2 life. But ruling says that basically, if let's say if they have 1 life left and they do a double attack, that's not finishing the game. They have to actually physically take 2 cards. So ruling and stuff, figure it out. Read everything. There's a lot of erratas that you should be able to catch up and then kind of familiarize yourself. So when you go to like a local or a tournament or something more serious in regards of ruling and stuff, Nami can get events because of the errata. Um, so yeah, Nami. Sometimes Nami is not really necessary if you have the right cards in hand. Um, but Nami is great for an additional attacker too with Zoro. Other decks, other red decks or red or green decks like Law, Luffy can't really take advantage of using Nami to swing at leader, but Zoro in the Zoro deck you can, so it's great. What I look for when I get Nami, um, Jet Pistol, or I'll be honest, it really doesn't matter what you're looking for when you get the top 5 cards because it's random. Whatever the 5 cards is, if I see a double of something, I'm probably gonna take the double because the like let's say there's 1 jet pistol and then 2, unless I know for sure like there's an Okiku in the board or something like, or I know kids about to get dropped, and I need the jet pistol to set up for that, then I'll get the jet pistol. That's usually the most common card I grab, or the Diable Jambe. But let's say if I have so I have um 3 of the 5 drop Luffy's. If I draw into 2 of them, that means the chances of me seeing that third one very slim, and I'm bottom decking 2 of them, 2 out of the 3. So I would usually get whatever is a double in the 5. If not, it's usually jet pistol. Um, obviously, there are a slim chance of your draw could be dead, because let's say if it's another Nami, Otama, Gordon, Vivi, Roundtable, and Shanks, these are the cards in my deck that is not searchable. So that's how many cards is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 technically. 13, 14. 14 cards out of a 50 card deck that I cannot grab. So that's a pretty big chunk to consider. Um, but yeah, so obviously Robin, um, I take back what I said about Robin. She is broken. If she sticks, and I've at this point, like I've been YOLOing it, just like I pitch my hand early just to protect my characters that are on board that can swing. So especially the Nico Robin, if I can protect her at all costs, great. She sticks, I'm winning the game. They are so behind on setting up unless Kaido drops and nukes the board. Um, if Robin sticks, that's it. I have the advantage so much better with Robin, and then because of the combos I can do with Otama, the Gordon, um, the jet pistols, and the round tables, like Robin can get rid of anything. So also swinging on average 6K with this Zoro ability and using the effect. Swinging 7, that's like if you put extra Dawn, that's 7. Perfect number to get rid of another character that you're trying to get rid of. So, yeah. So I did bump her up from 3 to 4. 1K counter too. So just sometimes if I've established a Robin and I have, let's say, 2 more in hand, then I'm using her as a counter. um, Next up is obviously the 3-drop Zoro. This is essential. Um, but I do try to hold off on even putting him down until I don't know, like maybe when I get 7 or 8 Dawn, if possible. If I'm obviously stuck only having him as a rush attacker early on, then obviously I'm going to use him. But um, using him later on, just as a 3-drop, put an extra Dawn swing for 7, it's powerful. So against Kaido, I've been swinging 7 like once to 3 times per turn to help win it. So I did like my first match in the so going back to the Thursday tournament, the box tournament, came 5th place technically speaking. Yeah, so 5th place or tied for 4th, um, and I don't know. I think I got 2 booster packs. Uh, X1. The only deck I lost to was Kaido. Faced two kids. I faced 2 kids, 2 Kaidos, and oh man, I'm not remembering. So first match was Kaido, second match was Kid, third match was Kaido, and then fourth and fifth round was Kid. So I faced Kid 3 times. So Kaido and Kid, that's the meta in my community. Kaido and Kid right now. Um, and then Luffy is actually kind of picking up in the meta in my community right now. But uh, yeah, so in regards of I forgot what I was trying to say there, but tournament wise, oh yeah, just basically the results. Um, so 3 Kid decks, 2 Kaidos. I lost my first match to Kaido. Uh, Second match was Kid. Third match was Kaido. Fourth and fifth was Kid. Won 4 in a row right there. Uh, I was just super aggro. Um, the first match that I lost to, the Kaido was smart, being super defensive. And then he was using the X Drake to allow me to. Let's bring up the purple X Drake in OP-01. This one, yeah, Dawn -1 on play, trash a card in your opponent's hand. So he would allow, like, I would have a, like what I mentioned earlier, most of the times near mid game, I'm top decking my cards. So sometimes taking life from a hit, I will let it swing through. Surprisingly, he would swing at life, let me have a card, which I gladly would take, and then he would drop the X Drake, trash my card. And then when he did that, it was the Nami. So it kind of like screwed me over. It was a big brain play from a Kaido player, um, and he just punished me. So that was not a fun matchup for me. But luckily, the second Kaido match, uh, the player was I guess he was being very defensive and trying to protect a 6K page 1 from the starter deck, just so he can have an attacker consistently throughout the game. But I was kind of just overpowering it throughout the game. But the kid matchups, um, surprisingly, did very very well. Like what I mentioned earlier, I did do the fastest matchup I've ever done, especially against a kid, being under 10 minutes, and then before all 10, I went second, so my opponent didn't even reach to 10 dons yet. So protecting the characters, swinging big every time, it's been crazy. Shanks, I think from the local that I won a couple weeks ago, I played him once against the mirror match, but I've been playing him more often now, especially if I do have him in hand. Having this 10k that will be dealing with the 7k kings, even against Kaido himself, like the 9 drop and 10 drop, like to be able to potentially get rid of those characters, but I technically, excuse me, swing for life with him, or getting rid of a pesky character that might get rid of the rest of my attackers in the mid to late game, because of his ability that he can swing over anything, any blockers that are 2k or less. So I don't have to worry about blockers with Shanks. So Shanks, uh, the Luffy, and the Diablo Jambe, I don't really care too much about blockers. I'm swinging at life so many times that usually my opponent will get rid of their blockers. Um, and when it really comes to it, to the final blow, I usually don't have a blocker there to interrupt it for me, except for my last matchup. My last matchup was pretty interesting against a kid. He had, let's pull up the green cards here. Starter deck. His board state was, uh, but by the time I swung for the final blow, his board state was Hawkins, beige. Let's see. Wait, Hawkins, beige, the blocker killer. Where is the blocker killer? Blocker killer. So that's three, and I believe Law, as well as there was another starter deck card that not a lot of kid players. I don't really see a lot of kid players use this X Drake. X Drake's been always interesting in all the colors, but this one, Dawn on X Drake, during your turn, this character is if this character is rested. So basically, if he swung after all supernovas and navy types, leaders and characters gain 1,000 power. So that's pretty cool. It sounds very similar to Zoro's leader ability, um, but this one is if it's rested. That's something you have to keep in mind. So he's this X Drake usually would swing first, uh, but he had three blockers, two decent attackers plus the law. I top decked Diable and just swung for 14. So uh, blockers don't really worry about it too much, and especially with the Shanks and Luffy and Diable, I always tend to end the match with Diable Jambe. I live by this card. I did have it at three. I was seeing it a little too much early on, and then I think two is a good amount. The Gordon, I've already kind of talked about it or touched based on it. The Gordon has been kind of a heaven set. Like it is a dead card in hand, so you're gonna play it, and you don't have to wait to use it against like the 8 drop kid or the 6 drop queen. Um, Funny enough, um, I would if I'm trying to rid of a character. So let's say I'm facing a Kaido deck. I'm trying to get rid of the 7 drop king. Um, but I have other characters to swing for 9 or even 10k. So let's say if I have Sanji and Zoro already on board. So uh, So yeah, Zoro and Sanji on board. There's a 7 drop uh, king that I'm trying to get rid of. Uh, but they also have queen to block. So funny enough, I had 2 of these in hand. Um, I did to someone. I forgot the exact situation, but I'm going to use the situation that I kind of just set up here. I dropped both of these, and then I did it on law. So the situation was I was trying to get rid of Okiku, um, and then they had a 6 drop law. So I dropped 2 Gordons, made law at 0 for the cost of 2. Um, and then I swung with Nami. Um, and I think I used Otama too. I don't remember the exact gameplay, but I was able to swing with Nami. Uh, we got Robin was jet pistol or not just pistol. It was not in play, but I swung like multiple times to get rid of the Okiku, and then they felt so bad using their 5 drop 6K lobbies. Is now like worse than a beige. Uh, the this yeah Capone beige, or I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but yeah, this blocker. It was worse than this at that point. He was at 0K uh for the turn. So uh he's inexpensive, and 2 of I think is a perfect number. If I have more, I'm losing counters in hand. Just because yeah, it's I replaced him over the 4 drop Trafalgar Law. Um, Law does very similar things to Otama, um, and the fact where is he? Um, Law this law 4 drop 5K Law. Uh, he is a powerful attacker with Zoro's ability, bringing from 5 to 6K. Put an extra dot on, you're swinging 7, and but to combo off of, because you don't really want to play him until you need to combo. So one, he's mid to late game, 4 drop plus a jet pistol. It's tough. Like unless you drop him and you have Robin on board, which is kind of rare in the late game. Uh, I don't play him that often. Gordon, I'm utilizing because it's just the 1 drop. So I tested it out. I'm seeing a lot of like luck with it, and a lot of people are not expecting it. So I'm using it against a lot of characters. I still keep Otama, um, round table and jet pistol combo like to the main things like a drop kid, um, king, uh, Okiku. Like that's what I use. No, you don't need to use on the combo for Okiku, but for the other pesky attackers, uh, Gordon has been helping me out a lot. Uh, Brought down from 3 to 2 to Sunny. One counter. Having this early game is perfect. Going turn 2, I feel like turn 2 has been doing very well for me with Zoro. Um, I don't know if that's a thing or just a coincidence, but I think I've been going turn 2 on all the games that I won. So uh, just imagine having 2 Sunnies on board on your first turn, like using the first 2 Dawn you use, drop down 2 Sunnies. You have 3 attackers for turn 2. You could potentially take 3 life by turn 2. That's crazy because with the Zoro ability, if you go turn 2 on your second turn with 4 Dawns, one going on Zoro, uh, one going on Sunny, one going on Sunny. So 5, 5, and then the fourth Dawn, just put it on Zoro to swing 7. That's an aggressive play for starting off if you have 2 Sunnies. So usually, uh, what I like to see in hand at first is one of the Namis, a Sunny, Vivi, and a blocker, Chopper. That's usually what I like to see in hand. Uh, like a mixture of those, and then obviously Robin in the starting hand or Jet Pistol. The rushers, I don't mind not seeing it. If I have the Nami, I'll search into it, or if I don't see any rushers, I'm drawing into it pretty soon. So don't need to worry about that. But setting up an attacker at a low cost early on, the Sunny has been interesting. And then I'll kind of skip over um, uh, Sanji and the rest here and skip to Vivi. So Vivi is the same thing, like 2 drop 4K. You don't have to put extra Dawn on this Vivi. Funny enough, I've protected this Vivi on play for a lot of my games just because I can swing an extra 5 every turn. So like Vivi, Zoro, and then another attacker. Having to do 3 swings every turn early on has been really good with the Zoro tech. And so if you can strive to do that, I think you can go a long way with the Zoro game, the gameplay. Uh, Going back to Sanji, um, he's no counter. So at this point, if you do have him, I guess use them right away. Uh, Having him uh 2 drop, add 2 dogs to it, swing for 7K with Zoro's ability, because he gains rush, is very very good. I've been trying to play conservatively for the past couple weeks. So like sometimes I don't even use his rush ability. I'll just put him down as a 2 drop for next turn. But most decks out there can just get rid of him so easily. Um, but if he does stick around after the initial use of him, with Zoro's ability, he's swinging 5 without any um, without any dawns on him. So it's great. Choppers. If you have choppers, um, I think so. A lot of people are like a little bit iffy about having even chopper in the deck. They would have either none, 2, 3, or 4. Um, I don't see why not have 4 to protect your characters and potential and life as well. Having a blocker in deck is essential. So I think every deck out there has a minimum of 4 blockers. So because Zoro's a rush deck doesn't mean it doesn't need blockers. Uh, Protecting your characters is what I would use uh, the blockers for. Like getting into um, all my matchups uh, yesterday on the box tournament, the choppers, I I drew into basically all my choppers every game. I was lucky enough to get my choppers. Um, it helped me protect 2 characters at a time. There were times where I had 2 attackers rusted after use of attack, and then I would have 2 choppers at hand. 2 choppers, Red Hawk, um, counters to protect my characters at all cost. That was my game plan, like an unintentional game plan. I just wanted to be super aggressive, and then I think like I just figured it out that after that first match, I was like, I've already lost one. Let's just go aggressive, um, and it was consistent being super aggressive. So, uh, choppers, if you get them early on, use him to protect your characters. The life, like because uh, unlike unlike Zoro attacking leader every time, um, all other decks are trying to establish their characters first and their board before they start swinging at life. If they can have the upper hand on the board state, then yeah, like then they'll start swinging at life. But they're focused on the characters first because if I'm swinging 5, 7, 9, 2 to even up to 4 times a turn, that's hard for them to maintain that many blockers, that many counters in hand, um, taking that many life. Like it's annoying for them, basically. So uh, choppers is essential. Uh, yeah, protect your characters. I think that's my biggest thing. Protect your characters early on, and then I think it'll be smooth sailing for you when it comes to the mid to late game. Uh, this Nami, I did shimmy her back into this deck, just a one of, just because uh, I didn't want to see her too much. And surprisingly enough, I was drawing into her. But obviously, with the other Nami's ability, it will just bottom deck her. So, uh, yeah, didn't want to put too many. But when she stuck to the board, just consistently adding Arrested Dawn to whoever I needed to has been great. But it's not too essential for the deck. But it does help with the aggro-ness of getting to that magical numbers 7, 9, the plus twos basically. Um, we already talked about Vivi. Um, Surprisingly enough, Luffy here, I don't play him as often anymore. I do play him, yeah. Actually, no, I play him once every game. He is essential. I brought him down from 4 to 3 just because it's the counter. He has no counter, obviously. And then 3, you're definitely going to see him at least once every game. And then I don't play him until I need to get rid of the last life before swinging game. That's the only use I use for this Luffy. Um, if I'm able to just drop him down, not swing, and then set it up for a big final attack after taking the last life, then yeah, he stays on board. But I would kind of like tease around to protect him if they're trying to get rid of him. He's a kind of a scapegoat. He is essential for the last life. That's what I used this Luffy for. Because by the time this Luffy comes out, you're kind of running out of gas. Like you don't have much cards in hands. You're top decking things now. So by the time he goes out, you have to hope that you're already at one life. Your opponent's at one life left. So if this Luffy can swing in, jump over the blockers, and take that last life before swinging again for a game, this is what I use Luffy for. Um, Red Hawk. I ideally use this to if I have it in hand early to protect my characters, and then try to get rid of a blocker at the same time or anything 4K or less. But the annoying part is if they dawn up to try to get rid of a character, you can't really KO the right character you want. Like for example, um, this doesn't get rid of Okiku. Any 4 cost character that's trying to swing at leader, if they have a Dawn on it, it can't be KO'd from this Red Hawk. So it's usually towards blockers. If they have any blockers already established on board, but it is to protect characters. If in the perfect world, uh, when Kaido is trying to, let's say, establish the final blow, you're at 2 life left. If you're at so when it comes to facing a Kaido deck, your goal is to not be at 2 life or less. The second you're at 2 life and they've already had the either the 9 drop Kaido, the 10 drop Kaido, multiple kings and queens on the board, like you do not you do not want to be at 2 life. Trying to this is when protecting life is super essential is against Kaido because the second you're at 2 life, it's easy for they have strong enough characters that when they swing at life, you can't really protect it. The only card is Red Hawk to really protect it, but by the time of endgame, you're trying to you're using up all the dawns to try to swing for life and try to finish the game before you have 2 life. Ideally, I think the Kaido matchup that I did on my third round, uh, the game finished off at me having a 3 life, and then yeah, I ended off with 3 life in the game set. So if you're comfortable and at 3 life by the time you can swing for game, that's the ideal position of both life situation there. So swing heavy 7 9 every turn to get rid of life until they're down to no life, and then just try to win for game from there. Um, but in a perfect world, if this card was your second last life, and you can negative 10,000 to the the 9 10 drop Kaido. They've already attached most of their Dawn to swing at other with their other attackers first before minusing 7 Dawn to get rid of that last life. This would be the perfect time or only use for Red Hawk for me. That's the only time. Um, Maybe potentially get, I don't know, getting this off of trigger off life for Basil Hawkins from swinging twice. It's situational, but and it's rare that you can get the Red Hawk unless you're playing a play set. 4 of a kind. Red Hawk is hard to get off of life, and if you do get it off of the life, is it too late to use it the trigger to actually help you out and stall your opponent? Because like let's say against Kid, they put in 5 Dawn to swing at life, and then you're at your last life. They swing at life, and then they're gonna use they've used all their other characters, and then they're gonna tap 3 so to set him active again and swing again for 10. But you get this card off of life and just minus 10,000 to his leader. He can't swing again. You're safe. He tried to go for game, and now you can go for game. So that's the perfect use for Red Hawk, but it's rare that you can pull that off. Round table, negative 10,000, same thing. At least you get to choose during your attacks to do this. Um, Very situational. It's mainly for the 8 drop Kid. It's mainly for even the Kaido. Just imagine um, Kaido, 9 drop Kaido, which is 10k. You minus 10k, and you have Otama on board with the Zoro. Otama can swing at Kaido, and if they don't have the right cards to, at that point they might not want to protect it because I might be swinging at life at that point. But if I have Otama on board, minus 10k on a Kaido, and the 10k Kaido, that could be a free attack from Otama, and it will be pretty funny. So yeah, Jet Pistol. The cards I usually use Jet Pistol towards too is obviously the uh against against any other red deck. I want a Jet Pistol Robin. Um, High attackers like potentially if you can bring down with like multiple Otamas. Well, you can just do Otama and Gordon on a Sanji, and then you can Jet Pistol or even 2 Otamas. Um, you can do a lot with Jet Pistol with this deck. You can basically get rid of anything you want by comboing it, but usually I do it on Robin for red. I think any blockers potentially. I would usually not use it on blockers because I feel like it's kind of a waste unless you're doing it for game, for the winning blow. Uh, for green, it's Jet Pistol is against Okiku. Um, this Law, 8 drop Kid. Some people do play this Yamato, so double attack and banish. If they can pull that off, that's really bad. Like you don't want that to happen to you. So if they don't really have anything else to really use a Jet Pistol towards, and they have this on board, I'm putting it. I'll use it against Yamato. Um, that's it for green. Blue's interesting just because they have a lot of blockers. Um, I would jet pistol their heavier attackers. So if they have their 4-drop 6 starter deck Pacifista, um, blockers like uh, Boa and maybe even Dofi. Where is he? This Dofi. Um, this Gecko Moria for sure because he has double attack. So double attack is annoying to deal with. Funny enough, people are playing this Alvida um, against red decks. They like usually it's a 2K counter. A lot of people don't even know what the ability does. But if you trash a card from your hand, return one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less to their hand. So if I have set up, if I'm trying to set up Robin, uh, this can just annoyingly just return it back in my hand, so I can't attack with her next turn. I have to waste another 3 to put her down, wait another turn. It came to a point where I needed to get rid of this card because if they're willing to trash their card, their hand, to just keep annoyingly get rid of my 3 drops. Because keep in mind, 3 drops is um, Zoro, Robin, Sanji, Usopp. Usopp, I put it in the deck mainly because of the blue deck of how many event cards they have. So um, they've used it against. I've had an opponent use it against this card. Get rid of your blockers. Anything, basically anything on board except for obviously Shanks and what do you call it, Luffy. Any card on board is basically a card that they can return in hand. So uh, I've jet pistoled this card once because they actually did very well to protect it, and I couldn't really set up, so I had to jet pistol it. Um, Kuma, uh, sometimes you don't want to get rid of him because you don't want to face a 6-drop. So I would hold off on the jet pistol attack, let them get rid of the Kuma to add the pacifista, then jet pistol. Um, what else to jet pistol? This one is interesting too, because on block, it gets to return cost of 2 or less back to their hand. So jet pistoling this would be important. So yeah, I think those are the ones that you would probably jet pistol, and obviously the high attackers, Virgo, this 7-drop Croc, Mihawk if you can combo it. Um, if you can combo with Otama and Gordon, you can easily jet pistol it for a pretty low cost. Yeah, you're just using six cards at that point, which you'll have by that time of the game. They play a 9-drop Mihawk. So yeah, Diablo Jambe is usually for end game, to be honest, unless end game or to get rid of Kid, because usually for I'm gonna load up a Kid deck here. Usually for Kid, if they have this down, they'll only play it down if they have enough blockers to help maintain him, right? So because you have to commit to 9 dawns to use the ability, so you can put him down, drop 8, add a dawn, and then also drop a blocker with it. So I think it was 3 costs or less. So you can put another beige. You can put a 2-drop killer. You can actually combo it with. So if you're gonna use all 10 dawn with Kid, drop the 8-drop Kid, put a dawn on it, uh, add killer, put the last dawn on. If you're at 10 dawn, put the last dawn on killer. So killer is gonna be used for sure the next turn to draw. But the fact that they use all 10 dawns and set up a killer or even a beige or 2 beige, if you're using Diablo Jambe and you don't have Luffy on board yet, but let's say you don't have Luffy, you don't have the jet pistol Otama. Let's say you have Gordon, Otama, and Diablo Jambe, and yeah, so you can Gordon and Otama -5. Uh, Kid is now 3K. Throw in a Diablo Jambe, then you can swing with Nami. You can swing with, I don't know, if you have Usopp, you can swing with anyone on board to get rid of the kid. But I would put enough Dawn so that they would still try to protect it. But even if you had the round table Diablo Jambe, that would be perfect because you can round table kid to be negative 2000. Yes, it goes into the negatives. Negative 2000. You have a Otama on hand. You can swing first with that. If they waste counters to protect it, throw in a Diablo Jump or blockers to protect it. Use a Diablo Jambe on your leader. Put a I don't know an extra Dawn. Swing for 6. They're not countering or protecting that 8 drop kid at that point, and they potentially could have got rid of other blockers trying to protect it. So yeah, that is the deck. That is every card and how I use each card. I don't think when I did my first deck profile, this video is now an hour long. I wasn't as detailed about how I played it. So when I won the first local, keep in mind it's a new game. Everyone's still learning. They're not used to someone that's just, pardon my language, balls to the wall, swinging 7, 9 every time, and not caring about their hand. I was facing a Zoro mirror match. Um, I was balls to the wall the whole game, and when it came down to the last round, um, for both of us, do I defense up or just go for the finishing swing? Because for Zoro to have counters in hand near endgame is very very rare. Um, so I had an opportunity to actually finish the game with a chopper. I had 3 Dawn left. Uh, my opponent had no more life. I had 2 life left. Um, I had 3 Dawn left to use. I already had a chopper on board. Didn't have any other attackers. I swung with everything. Um, 3 Dawn left. Chopper's at 2 because of Zoro's ability. Put in 3. Swing for 5. Does he have it? I should have and he didn't. He didn't. I asked him after because I end up playing it safe, putting a Robin and keeping the chopper, but he was able to get rid of the chopper and swing, swing, swing for game. If I swung with chopper, because most people wouldn't do it, but the way I was playing that night, I should have because I would have won the match. Uh, yeah, imagine winning a game with chopper, a 1 drop, 1K blocker chopper, swinging at 5K. It's possible and it's situational, but I missed the opportunity to claim that, and I'm upset about it. But balls to the wall. That's what you want to do with this deck. Just rush really hard, protect your characters as much as you can early game. Uh, Understand when to use jet pistol, and combo everything else with it. Uh, be aggressive, like super. Be unapologetically aggressive. That is my gameplay. Uh, Winning against Kid Deck. I've been winning against Kid Deck, except for on my Tuesday. So my Tuesday local, I lost. My only match that I lost was Kid. I just didn't have the right cards in hand, and then he already had 2 Basil Hawkins and an 8 drop Kid on board. I couldn't jet pistol any of it, and with 2 Basil Hawkins, I can't have any characters on board for long at all because he can swing at 4 characters with 2 characters. It's crazy. Um, if you don't have it, you don't have it. It sucks. Everyone can draw a dead hand and lose the game because of it. It doesn't matter if you're a pro player. You can get dead hands and you can lose to a beginner or someone that never played before and doesn't know what they're doing. You can still lose to them. So this might be the actual final deck list for my treasure cup. It's creeping up. It's in a couple weeks. I'm going to the Niagara one. So if anyone notices me or recognizes me, say what up. That would be cool. I'm gonna be there for both days. Even if I don't go past the first day, I'm gonna be on the side event just in case. It's gonna be a long weekend for me because apparently I have an inventory evening count after the treasure cup is done. So I'm going straight to work right after. So that would be exciting. Um, this is a long video and I've talked a lot. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I've talked about the deck. I wanted to get into some gameplay, but I'm gonna make that separate. I'll bring up the deck list again. My lights are going out because it's running out of batteries. So gonna call it a night. Comment below. What do you think about the deck? Anything you would change out of it? Um, what do you think about Usopp? Usopp's actually been really interesting for me for the past couple days. But yeah, give me some advice. I would love to hear it. I want to thank people because like the channel's been, it's not like explodingly growing, but it's the watch time hours has been um, impressive. So I want to thank you guys for the viewers that actually stuck and watch most of the videos because retaining watch time hours on most videos like is hard for a lot of content creators. So um, I'm on the road of being monetized because like the two major goals to achieve to be monetized on YouTube, if you didn't know, it's 1,000 subscribers, which I'm only just over a tenth in, and then 4,000 watch hours. So just from these One Piece videos I've been doing, I'm already like leagues ahead of what my subscriber count ratio is. So I don't know. This is technical back of the office kind of conversation, but I want to thank everyone. This is new subscribers, people commenting. I try to, unless like they're passive aggressive comments, I try to respond to everyone. Uh, and give advice or like I'm not a professional, I'm not an expert. This is just my experience. So when you ask me a question for advice, I do appreciate it, and then I try to be as detailed or like informative as possible. So thanks for the comments, the viewership, the new subscribers. Uh, like, comment, subscribe. I even see my own videos popping up in my recommendations. So uh, it's cool. So thanks. So if you stuck to the end of the video here, really appreciate it. Have a great night. Give me some advice on this deck list. If there's anything you would change, tell me why, and I'll try it out. Because I'm gonna be a Zoro player for Treasure Cup. Yeah. All right. Peace.